Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Criminal Justice Corner. I am your host, Dr. Jennifer Matthews. This is season 3. You know, we had to take a break and get back to our roots. And now we have some fresh stories and vibrant stories and relevant stories for you guys since you've been following us for a while now. Today, I have with me a very special guest, Rob Lincoln. He has a background in criminal justice and he's a fan of crime shows. So, he was perfect to come on the show and talk with us today. Rob, thank you for being here with us today.
Dr. Matthews, thanks for having me. I appreciate you.
Thank you for being here. And today we want to talk about something that is certainly in the news, certainly garnering a lot of talk. Johnathan Majors. Rob, have you been following this case from the beginning? Are you a fan of Johnathan Majors? What do you think?
I am a fan of his, and when I broached the subject with you, this was 2 days before the verdict came out. So the reason why I wanted to talk about them was because the information that was for public consumption. I mean, we only know about the video of him running
Yeah.
and he say, she say incident inside of the chauffeured car. So being that you have a background in video evidence, I kind of was curious of, okay, what do you think about him running from his girlfriend, and how should that play out in him being sentenced? But now that he's sentenced, so I kind of got like a new outlook on the whole situation.
I think that video evidence now changes so much. So, like you said, it's he said, she said, but now you got that video evidence. So it's like a neutral third party that can shine some light on the situation. It's like no more he said, she said. It's like her side, his side, and then the video side.
Hmm.
So we can take that video evidence and draw a firm conclusion. No, the video evidence is not going to paint the entire picture, but now we can kind of lean to one side or the other to draw a fuller picture of what may have happened. So I really like video evidence when it's available. I think it helps situations, not saying that it may not saying it will always help, maybe the plaintiff or the defendant, but it definitely sheds light on cases nowadays. And I think it's helpful. So
Hmm.
to see him running in the video, we don't necessarily know what happened, let's say an hour before. We don't know what happened a week before. But in those moments, we know what happened thanks to the video. So that's what I
Hmm.
think about video evidence in that moment. But with the verdict, that changes a lot of things. Like you said, it really has some consequences for him. So what do you
Hmm.
think about those consequences that he suffered based on the verdict?
Well, we live in cancel culture. Unfortunately, once the verdict came out, not even an hour went by. Just like he said in an interview with ABC, how Marvel dropped him, unfortunately,
Immediately.
and also during the whole incident, right after the incident, he lost his agency and his management as well. So he was just, dealing with all types of issues outside of the camera. So, but I was kind of curious to know, like, what was your perception of him before the verdict, and what's your perception of him after the verdict?
Well, for me, I was a big fan. I was a
Hmm.
big fan. I have seen several of his movies and he always impressed. Always. I
Hmm.
would say seeing him, because I felt like he was like an up and coming actor. So
Yes.
seeing him in different movies, I always felt like he impressed me more each time. Like he got better and better every time I saw him in a different movie. So I was like, man, this guy's getting good. Like I just knew that he was going to be big. Like I felt like he had the potential to be like a Michael B. Jordan, that kind of a person. Like he starred next to Michael B. Jordan, but I felt like he could one day be a Michael B. Jordan type. And
Mm.
so to see him in the news later down the line, I was surprised to say the least. And I was surprised because I felt like he knew what he had at stake. So I knew that he knew what it took to get him where he was at. So to let something derail that or potentially derail that, because this is before, the verdict came out when that would have happened. I was like, just thinking like, if that was me, how would I have reacted? Or just thinking like, let's just say I get into an argument with someone. I know what I have to lose. I don't know what they have to lose, but I know what I have to lose. So I'm going to remove myself from that situation so that I don't get myself in any kind of trouble, because I don't want to lose what I have to lose. So
Yeah.
with him being in that same position, having greater to lose, I was very surprised to see him in that predicament. Not saying that he could have avoided it, I don't know, but I was very surprised to see that. And after, I can't say that I like him or dislike him necessarily, because I wasn't like in that jury box, if you will. I know what the
Hmm.
outcome is and was, but I can't say, oh, I hate him or I
Hmm.
dislike him, because he's still a good actor. I don't know
Yeah.
him personally, but yeah, what do you think? What do you know your thoughts now or before and after?
Yeah, I was a fan of his. The best movie that I seen him perform in to me was probably Devotion when he played a naval pilot during the Korean War. So I thought it was an
That was
amazing performance.
amazing.
Yes, yes. And speaking of losing, having something to lose, that's what he kind of alluded to during the leaked audio when he was talking to his girlfriend.
Yes, he was.
That's why we heard the term, you have to be more like Coretta, you got to be more like Michelle. So he was pretty
And
much
speak to
insinuating. I'm
that.
sorry.
What do you think about that, though? What do you think about him telling a woman who is not African American that she has to be more like these African American women? How do you feel about that?
I'm not sure if he was trying to say that be like black women per se. He was just saying just play the part like those women.
Okay,
So, like he said in the video, like he's trying to do something bigger for his community, for his image, and by them having all this conflict, he pretty much telling her that she's kind of messing things up, and to kind of be like these great women, so that way, every great man has a great woman behind
absolutely.
him. So that's what
Yeah,
he was probably insinuating, and he also kind of reiterate that point during the ABC interview as well.
he did. He did. And he got a lot of backlash for that.
Yes, because it's a black man with a white woman, but no one says anything about Serena and her husband, or Tika Sumpter and her husband. I mean, it's always a double standard, obviously, but yeah, some people gonna have issues. I mean, this is the internet, this is the social media era, so people will have their 2 cents to say, especially when it comes to black men and black and white women.
Definitely,
Yeah.
definitely. Now, do you think like how do you feel about these people dropping him? His management, the Marvel. How do you feel about them immediately dropping him? Do you think that was justified on their part?
I think they should have waited because once you take that extreme action, you pretty much putting a scarlet letter on him already, and you
Mhm.
kind of setting the precedent for like other people to kind of like be arms distance away from him. So from this point on, he likely going to be a independent actor from now on, just like Nate Parker after he went through his thing after he came out with the movie Birth for a Nation. So
Yeah,
more than likely, I don't think any major studio is going to touch him, but let's see if Tyler Perry will work with him. He has his own studio in Atlanta, so
he does.
there's no reason why someone like him of his magnitude should be out of work from like a major Hollywood studio. But we have
Right.
our own Hollywood per se, right? So
Yeah.
hopefully Tyler Perry will give him some opportunities.
But and it's funny that you mentioned Nate Parker. How big is he now though?
Well, Nate, I did see his movie American Skin, which I loved. It was a
Okay.
great movie, and
And he's a good
it's,
actor.
it's
I think he's a good actor.
oh yes, he has some great performances on under his belt as well. But major Hollywood's not going to touch him. I mean, in order for him to make some money, he has to make his own movies, just like he made um, you know uh, Birth of a Nation and American Skin. Outside of that, I'm not sure what he's doing right now. But he is a talented actor, and as long as you can kind of put out good content out there, I mean, the people should be able to support you.
But to make your own movie costs a lot of money.
I mean, yes, these are millionaires, so I'm sure they can make
Nate
it
is a
work.
millionaire?
Oh, of course. I'm sure he is. I'm sure he
Okay.
is.
Okay.
Because like prior to him being dropped, he had endorsements with I think the US Army because he was on commercials for them.
Yes.
and some other products. I mean, I thought he was marketable, and I guess he capitalized off that in the last 3 to 4 years since he's been mainstream. So I would assume that he is, but you got to keep that cash flow going. So just got to make your own movies.
Yeah. And that takes a while too, though. It's not like he can make a movie in 2 weeks.
Right. I totally understand that. But right now, at least he has making good to hold him down. I'm sure she's worth millions of dollars. So for the time being, she has connections, and I'm
Now
sure they will make it work.
now he got to lean on her for some money.
As a matter of
But we're
fact,
talking about Johnathan Majors now, not Nate Parker. So you're
right.
saying Johnathan Majors has to lean on making good to get through this tough time, is what you're saying.
Yes, yes.
Now, and I can't recall, refresh my memory, did he call her his Coretta Scott King?
Doing an interview? Yes, he did.
Yes. Okay.
Yes, he did.
So is he
Yeah,
just going around looking for Coretta in every woman he's dating?
I mean that's what every man wants. Is a woman in that stature. So that's it's not only to him. I mean, I'm sure every man wants that.
So, so okay, if that's the case, describe for the audience what is a Coretta Scott King type of woman, so that we're clear, so we're not assuming. Tell us that
I don't want to speak for all men, but like
a
as
vague
far
definition then,
as far as for
a
me,
broad definition then, because you're a
um,
man. So
okay. I mean, someone who is going to hold down your household. They're gonna have like the best imaging outside in the mainstream. I mean, because when Martin Luther King was here, they were always outside,
yep,
with cameras and interviews and he was just making his rounds with going to the White House so he can pass the Civil Rights Act and
right,
making speeches all over the world. So, but when we saw Coretta, she was always dignified. She was always elegant. I don't want to come off as sexist, but she was just more of a background. I want to say that she was mute, but she just kind of like knew how to play her role. But it's as far as like successful men really don't want like an alpha type female. They want someone that's going to be in the background. So that's what men would probably tend to kind of like want. Like anyone who's not like an alpha female per se, that's probably going to be what they're leaning towards.
so my question is, well, is was Jonathan's Major's first girlfriend, who he was on trial with, was she boisterous? Was she loud? Or was she like, how was she? Do we know?
You can even listen to the audio recording. I mean, obviously she was doing the recording, so she was pretty much kind of like acting.
I was
So
just about to say she sounded timid in
right,
the audio recording, and like you said, she knew she was recording, so she knew she had to play a position because it was a setup essentially. So you feel like it had she not been recording, she might have been acting a different way.
yeah, possibly. But that's just the thing. Like, had it been like a black woman on that recording, we all know if a black man was to tell his woman she should act like a certain way, that conversation is going to be totally different than what we heard with Jonathan Majors and his ex girlfriend. We know that.
Yeah, it would have been different, but do we think that she was just trying to go along to get along in that
I mean,
moment? I'm saying,
I
because
mean,
some women do that.
even prior to the incident, we didn't know who she was. We didn't even know who he was dating.
This is so true. I had
It's-
no clue. It was
right.
like, who is this woman? That's what I said. When I saw him in the news, I was just like, what's going on? Who? What? What?
Yes.
Like I
And
had to like actually read the story to even know what was what.
right. And I forgot which movie that they met on set with, but I know that
Um,
she's from I think Sweden, I believe. Some country, but yeah, she was a dancer, so she was more of a in a different type of artistic realm as far as in the arts. So she was into dance, and obviously when she just met Jonathan, he's in the arts of acting. So
Right.
that's how their worlds kind of collided. But yeah, we all didn't know who she was, and but now her
No.
name is Grace Jabari. I did at least try to learn her name, but other than that,
No,
but yeah,
look, now
we
she's
didn't
no
know who she
longer no
was.
name. Now she's no longer a no name.
Hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Now, there are men who find themselves in these types of situations every single day, like Johnathan Majors. What advice, what tips would you give these young men to not end up in the same situation?
And when it comes to domestic violence, intimate partner violence,
Yes.
I mean,
What
every
is
situation is
something they can
different.
help them? Just and I agree, every situation is different. And I don't even know if he knew she was recording,
Hmm.
but what let's say they get into an argument.
Hmm.
What would you tell them? A young man. What would you tell him if he's arguing with his girlfriend and they, let's say they argue constantly? What would you tell him?
I mean, first of all, if they're arguing constantly, that's a toxic relationship. I mean, he just got to remove himself from the situation. Same with the woman. If everything is toxic, just remove yourself. And when it comes to, I know that Jonathan called the police, and when it comes to the authorities being called, seems like that they're constantly using this Duluth model in which no matter who calls the police, the man will always be taken into custody.
That's true.
But I will recommend calling the police just so that you can at least have something on record in a police report that you call the police and you explain your side of the story. But now in these days police would just come and indiscriminately just obviously just go towards the man and assume that that man did something wrong, especially if there's any type of markings that's present between him and a woman.
Not only that, as far as tips go, I would say if it's a domestic situation or any situation that you find yourself in with a person that you know, and you feel like you have to call the police to calm that situation, you should never be around that person again. You know what I mean? Like, if it has come to that level, we need a change.
Yeah.
We should not be continuing whatever this is, whether it be a sister, whether it be your cousin, whether it be your mate. If the police need to be called to calm this situation, we need to do some things different.
I
That
would,
would be my
yeah.
takeaway.
I would definitely recommend if the police are going to be called, do not be in the same vicinity with your partner. I mean, if you're going to call them, take it to a hotel, get
Mhm.
situated, and then call the police. Say, hey, this is a situation. We got into an altercation. I checked into this hotel, so I'm not even in the vicinity of her of her being. So hopefully that would kind of calm the temperature down, but don't do it while both parties are just screaming and hollering
Mhm.
at each other, and the police really don't know who to believe, obviously, but they're trained to take the man in custody.
Mhm.
And this been going on since the 80s when they came out with that whole the Louvre model, and in which some false information was kind of like put out there, but that's like another topic. So
Definitely. But I would just say that to be safe, always walk away, because we have seen so many times where you stay and you're arguing, tempers flare, and it ends badly. Whether it
mhm.
be someone gets hurt or some, it goes even further and it turns fatal. So I definitely feel like walking away is the best remedy. Cooler, let cooler heads prevail, and everybody can live to talk about it another day, and we can just all, be happy away from each other.
Right. Yeah, I mean, cops are not marriage counselors
Definitely not.
and mental health counselors as well. So just like with people calling the cops because someone's having a mental health episode, and cops in most cases gunning them down. So
Every
just
time.
just be careful of putting or calling the police and kind of adding them into the whole equation. So at least try to talk things out. If things can't come into a resolution, in a safe manner, both of y'all just got to remove yourselves, and hopefully cooler heads will prevail. And I don't know. It's just a nuanced conversation. So
Yeah. Well, Rob, I want to thank you so much for being our guest here on Criminal Justice Corner. You are welcome here anytime we have any pressing stories to talk about in the news. And I want to thank you all for watching Criminal Justice Corner. Please join us next time.